Welcome back to HPL, or the PvP Live studios here in Frisco, Texas. And ECOP, he queued up Warlock like we liked, but just missed that game by, it's a game of inches, Nathan.
I mean, he was 1 point of damage away. His board was just too full at the end. Actually, the fact that he had 7 minions out, a liability for him in that game. What did y'all think of that? And have you ever been in that situation before where your board's been full?
It's a strange one.
And you're pulling your hair out because you just need 1 more minion, but you can't quite get it. Get out there on Twitter and use that hashtag HPL. Let us know what you thought of that game. Zalae made great use of those explosive traps at ECOP, just too much on the board to actually deal with damage. But game 2 is getting underway right now. ECOP versus Zalae.
Yeah, I'd like to see the guys queue up some very similar decks again here, but it looks like we're gonna have some changes. ECOP, this looks to be Tempo Mage, a deck that's actually done pretty well here on HPL. It's got a great record, and then Zalae, what we have come to expect from him here lately.
Yeah, Patron always a big talking point with Zalae, loves playing this strategy. And ECOP, I like that he's actually going with his Tempo Mage deck. We've seen him do pretty well, I think, with Mage in the past, and this deck actually can line up very well versus the kind of stuff that Patron Warrior's trying to do. Mirror Image straight away, shuts off some of their weapons to protect your threats, and this Grim Patron Warrior deck, it doesn't have all of the removal spells in the world.
Yeah, usually I'm not the biggest fan of playing this on turn 1 if you don't have a minion behind it, but he could get something good enough off this Unstable Portal, and he's going to want to just jam that into play as soon as possible and help protect it.
Yeah, some really good stuff could be drawn off of this Unstable Portal. We're going to find out exactly what it is.
Yeah, see, I like saving it for things like Flamewalker and Mana Worm from here, but it's actually going to be pretty good because he's going to get to protect this Puddle Stomper. That's a sentence I didn't think I could just say on HPL here.
ECOP used to play Murlocs all the time, man.
Oh, yeah.
Back when they were running amok.
You mean back when they were actually playable?
They were actually playable for a while. If you guys didn't play during that era, good for you. You didn't have to live all the Murlocs just raining terror on what's going on. Second, Unstable Portal gets drawn for him, and I have to believe this is going to be the Flamewaker and put some damage onto this Armorsmith. Make sure that it has maximum pressure on it. Wants to have that Flamewaker be maximum effect the turn it comes into play.
Yeah, Flamewaker, not always the best card against decks with Grim Patron and Armorsmith and Acolyte of Pain in them, so ECOP's going to have to be very careful how he navigates his turns with that card in play.
Yeah, going to have to fight a pretty big card advantage battle here. The attack is really something he's forced into. Actually, not even going to play the Flamewaker.
Yeah, he's going to protect here. He's going to actually protect his.
I actually really like this. It puts Zalae in a little bit of an uncomfortable position where he's going to have to either start taking damage or allocate his resources
it's good
in such
against,
a way that isn't very efficient.
Yeah, I wouldn't like this if it was going into turn 4 for Zalae, or if he hadn't used the coin yet. But since he can't do something like Acolyte of Pain and Whirlwind Jutsu, where he just gets a ton of value, I kind of like this play from ECOP. Had it been going into anywhere where he had 4 mana or more, I would have not liked this play as much.
Yeah, timing's so important here, so we'll get in 3 extra points of damage.
Little things like that make big differences over the course of matches.
You said it, man. I mean, we saw it in game 1. Again, 1 damage off of lethal was ECOP, and then Zalae able to just go to his turn and then hero power to deliver those final points. It matters so much. We've seen it in so many games. How tight these games get when you have 2 professional players going to the ends of the earth to try to beat each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say it again. It's just like baseball. It is a game of inches here between 2 professionals. You see a lot of these 5-game matches where one decision, one juggle, just one little thing of fate could have completely decided the games in different ways.
Yeah, so this looks like a turn.
I love this armor up pass from Zalae, by the way.
Yeah, it's so good. The fact that he can take a few points of damage right now, he's not under a ton of pressure. So seeing him be patient in this regard, it's actually very likely to pay off for him. If ECOP plays this Flamewaker,
you have to believe he's going to Arcane Missiles as well.
Yeah.
There's not going to be, I mean, you have to know this is Grim Patron from Zalae. It's what he's been playing the most lately, and you're never going to have a good board where you want to cast Arcane Missiles. Plus, let's just get all this damage in now.
Yeah, he's going to get a little bit punished for this, though. He's going to drop Zalae down to 24 after this weapon swing, but Acolyte of Pain, Whirlwind, and then uses Fiery Warrocks and Flamewaker. What a turn.
Yeah, this is the nightmare scenario for ECOP here, and just the best turn possible for Zalae.
Yeah, he's going to have to fight through an Azure Drake, but starting to pick up a lot of tools to make sure he can do it effectively. Again, we'll be getting more draws off this Acolyte of Pain in the future, and ECOP starts to fall a little bit short of actual different things that he can do in his turns. Has Unstable Portal, has Mechanical Yeti, has Mad Scientist, but he's going to have to find a way to start stifling the pressure.
I mean, yeah, look at all the resources that Zalae still has. Look how far ahead he still feels. Even though ECOP has an Azure Drake in play and Zalae just has an Acolyte of Pain, you still feel like Zalae is so far ahead here.
Yeah, I have to agree with you too. Novish Inventor going to continue to add cards to his hand and then execute getting a big swing in the amount of
Yeah,
mana.
this is one of the better targets in ECOP's deck to execute as well. If you don't get something like an Archmage, which is like super late in the game, you usually die anyway once it hits play because they get some value off of it. It's just a great tempo play from Zalae. He just wants to make sure that he gets to turn 6 or turn 7 or turn 8. Since he doesn't have an Emperor right now, he needs to have one of those big turns late because he already has all the pieces that he needs.
Yeah, second Battle Rage not going to help him really at all so far. I mean, he does have the first one. It's actually not the worst draw in the world because he can't pick off the Mad Scientist and then use back-to-back Battle Rages, and that will net him 4 cards. So not the worst draw in the world, but he's looking for something to kind of handle what's going on.
Yeah, what he could do here is he could attack, draw 2 cards, and look for something like Death Spite and stuff if he wants this turn, or he could get really fancy here. I like this as well, getting the second Unstable Ghoul into play, because almost always this is going to be Myrmidon. And you get to keep these Unstable Ghouls in play because ECOP might not be able to get rid of both of them, his and yours, and you need one of them in play for one of the turns you're going to go off in. It doesn't matter if it's yours or your opponent's.
Yeah, especially
they both work great.
Especially not after you picked up Emperor Thaurissan with such a stacked hand. ECOP can really put a lot of hurt on this board, but again, he's got to find a way to actually kill Zalae in this spot. Zalae's putting together a ton of damage going forward here. When he sees this Emperor Thaurissan, ECOP's going to know this game is almost completely over.
Yeah, what's going to happen here is you're going to see ECOP push for a lot of board control and damage here. Zalae is going to probably play Emperor Thaurissan, and then you might see ECOP just completely ignore it and hope to God Zalae can't kill him next turn and just push for as much damage as possible.
Yeah, this Unstable Portal is actually so important right now. Black Knight is not any help. It is a 3-mana 4/5, so not the worst thing in the world. And now ECOP is getting a little bit of pressure going, so Zalae is going to need to do something about this. But again, after this Emperor Thaurissan gets played, and he can even execute behind this.
ECOP almost has lethal already with what's on board and in his hand here. So Zalae has to be careful here. He can't just, Emperor Thaurissan and pass. He can Emperor and execute and hope to God it's going to be good enough from there. He can take a lot of pressure off this board, taking care of the Mechanical Yeti. But you have to be kind of worried. If ECOP has a Fireball, you're almost dead.
Yeah, I mean, he does have to worry about it a little bit, but again, the Emperor Thaurissan's body can absorb some of those shots from Flamewaker, and at the same time, ECOP's going to need multiple spells. And since you just saw him on Unstable Portal, it's very unlikely that other card in his hand actually does direct damage.
Yeah, I mean, we see that it is Fireball, but you have to always worry about what they can draw from here as well. So you're going to see Zalae take his time and really consider all of his options going from here, because his hand is very strong going forward from here. And it really feels bad when you lose a game with an insanely good hand.
Yeah, the one thing that is really missing from this hand is something like Whirlwind Effect.
Right,
he actually doesn't have any, so he can't do a ton of things to activate his Frothing Berserkers and his Grim Patrons. He just has them. So he actually kind of needs these minions to live from ECOP if he wants to get anything done.
Yeah, he had to give up the Ghoul last turn. But there is one still on ECOP's side of the board. Now, ECOP might just run it into the Emperor anyway to get it off the board so he doesn't threaten his own.
3, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. If every point of damage went to face, ECOP's actually got this game won.
Well,
we're going to spin the wheel. Yeah, we're going to find out what's going to happen here. Spin the wheel. Perfect. Yeah. It's exactly what I'm thinking about in this spot, too. Fate can decide so many things in Hearthstone. ECOP doesn't have a way to control all of these outcomes. He's just got to hope that they end up working out right.
Yeah, and I really like ECOP getting rid of this Unstable Ghoul at some point in time. You cannot leave this in play going into the next turn.
No, it's so important to get rid of it. It really is, especially when he's got the Finicky Cloak field behind here to make sure that he can keep his Flamewaker protected.
There goes Emperor Thaurissan.
Yep, so not quite the damage to end it this turn, but he is awfully close. 6, 7, 8,
He's got
9, 10, 11.
Left, yeah.
He's got 1 damage off lethal, actually.
Yeah.
Wow. So once again, ECOP 1 damage off lethal. But again, the fact that he's going to have his Flamewaker protected, this might win him the game.
Well, the thing is, if you Finicky Co-Shield your Flamewaker, he actually deals damage after it, so it comes out of stealth.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. I've lost some games learning this the hard way.
Oh, yeah, ECOP's not going to learn it the hard way, actually. That's actually a really good point. I would have completely forgotten about that. We actually have seen a player use Time Rewinder on his own Flamewaker and didn't get the damage off of it, despite the fact that he had multiple minions that he could use to do it. So Zalae, he's got to find a way to get his board position.
Yeah, he has a couple ways to do some good stuff this turn. He can Warsaw Commander into Grim Patron, slam his Grim Patron, run the other one, the 3/3 into the Flamewaker here, and then he would be able to kill the Black Knight here, but he's still at 4.
He's not able to armor up in that situation. So how does that affect his decisions?
Well, he knows that the last card in ECOP's hand is a spare part as well. Right. So he knows that there's not a real spell left in ECOP's hand. It's not a card that could necessarily affect the board going forward. So yeah, we're going to see him make this play from here. I have to believe that he's going to slam his own guy here.
Well, he's going to have to figure it out very soon because he's taken as much time as the game is going to let him take at this point.
That, or he could do some stuff with Armor Smith to gain some life, but that doesn't seem as good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think the Armor Smith is quite as good here. He's going to have to take a risk. You know, if ECOP draws a burn spell, this game is going to end right here because he cannot armor up anymore.
Is Zalae going to be able to get these Qs in?
Oh, geez. Did Zalae get these off in time?
Yeah, he did, it looks like.
That looked like it was awfully close. And now ECOP, one draw away, doesn't get it, but he is able to play Sorcerer's Apprentice and Cloak Shield
the thing is here, Zalae wasn't actually able to get the armor plating off, and that's kind of a big deal. He didn't get to protect his Grim Patron here.
I think that ECOP is going to have to push this point of damage to face. I don't think that he can afford to put a point of damage into the Grim Patron.
That's actually a pretty good point as well.
Because Zalae's going to go back up to 6 this turn. He's got to put a point of damage to face. Yeah. He has to. And this is it. I mean, Zalae had... Actually, you know, he didn't have to put that point of damage to face. He's going to go up to 5 this turn and then recover from that situation. Yeah, he didn't actually have to do that. And now ECOP actually in a spot where he needs to keep drawing damage to win this game. And Zalae, he can protect himself, but at what cost? He's got to do a lot of stuff if he wants Armor Smith to trigger this turn.
Yeah, he's going to do a lot of crazy things if he wants the Armor Smith to trigger this turn. Now, this is something we see a lot with the Tempo Mage deck. It has great starts, really good mid-game if you draw your cards in the right order, but then you get to this point on turns 8 and 9 where you don't have any cards and you don't have anything left and your opponent's at 2 or 3 or 4 and you're like, I just need one card. I just need one damage.
Just one single damage. That's like the story of ECOP's life this game. Just one damage off lethal the entire time.
That's been his entire story here in HPL. Almost all of his losses have been 5 games and they've been super close. I feel like he's 1 and 4. It could easily be something like 3 and 2.
Yeah, Zalae has to feel like he's going to pad his life total too. There's Armor Smith to start. The armor plating actually matters a lot here too. He's going to be able to make more Grim Patrons after this. Yep. There's Deathbite coming in. He's going to swing to face and then actually replace this. Oh, he's not going to replace it. He's actually going to keep the Fiery War Axe in his hand. Goes up to 5. And now once again, though, this is a spot where ECOP, any damage in his deck except for Arcane Missiles will actually win him the game.
Yeah, I think Zalae's trying to win next turn with the Whirlwind effect. I think he could probably easily do 20 damage with this Frothing Berserker next turn.
Oh,
Mana Worm, not
going to do it. And ECOP, you can see he's a little bit frustrated with this. Again,
and here's the thing too, like what do you attack here? Do you attack the Warsong Commander? Do you pick off the Grim Patron? Like, you can't see Zalae's hand, you have no idea what he's doing from here. The thing is, if you leave Grim Patron on the board, he gains a lot of life from Deathbite and things like that going on. But if you leave Warsong Commander, he could combo you out with Frothing Berserker. You don't know that he has extra copies of everything in his hand.
I think that was just the draw for ECOP. You know, how does he live through that turn? And now, what's the best decision from this position? I think it has to be take out the Warsong Commander. That's the card that you're afraid of right now.
And you almost can't even play. I mean, there's a chance you can't even play the Mana Worm.
I would not play it at all. He just gets more Grim Patrons. It's just more armor for him.
And this is one of the things you see from this deck. It's really, really good when it curves out, when it gets the right draws and the right turns. But then every now and then on turn 10, you draw a Mana Worm.
Yep, and he's going to go for face here, and he's going to get some bad news next turn. This is a ton of damage from Zalae. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, he's got more than enough next turn to finish it.
There's
though thinking about it a little bit, but I still think
he realizes he's in the spot. There's really nothing he can do.
Yeah, Zalae goes up to 7 armor. I mean,
he's just hoping Zalae's hand is really bad and can't get it and draws Inner Rage. Yeah, that's
gonna be well more than enough.
Yeah, that's gonna do it. Zalae just puts together all the pieces. So short on life, but able to hold on to dear life. And now he's gonna take a 2-0 lead over
Commanding
ECOP.
lead here over ECOP.
He's got to feel some pressure at this point. Nothing that ECOP is doing seems to be working. He's getting so close to winning these games. You know, it doesn't feel like to me he's actually missing anything or misstepping. It's just that his opponents are able to recover these situations. He's not able to deliver that final blow.
Yeah, he's always so close yet so far in every one of his matches. Unbelievable how close he is to having a winning record here in HPL. Coming into his last match before today's, he actually was winning over 50% of his games. But he was still just 1 and 3. Now he's 1 and 4, and looking, he might be 1 and 5.
Yeah, I mean, you know, coming back from the 2-0, we've only seen one player do it so far, I believe it, Green Sheep.
Yeah, a couple people have forced Game 5. Green Sheep's actually forced a Game 5 other than the one that he won, but not often do you even get to Game 5 after being down 0-2.
So Zalae continues to be patient, very calm. The turn that he had to take a risk, where ECOP, you know, had to give him a turn to draw a burn spell. If he wanted to protect himself, it would have given up a lot of his leverage to actually end the game. So that one turn, if ECOP doesn't draw the burn spell, Zalae feels like he can recover and actually keep ECOP from drawing more spells than he would have normal and be able to finish it from there. So love the fact that he's getting a little bit aggressive, and we talk about it time again, players taking risks at the right time.
Yeah, every now and then you have to take a risk, and when it pays off big, and it gets you a win. Just greatly played game from Zalae there. Love what we're seeing from him. ECOP's got to win 3 straight now in this match. Zalae's Zalae's on match point.
Yeah, if you guys want to see the recap for this game, you can head over to pvplive.net and see it for yourself. The full stats breakdowns, the recap, their competitive histories, pretty much everything they've ever done, and more importantly, how they've done it. Always available on the website for you guys. And now that once again, they're making changes to their decks. That's the HPO format. They're not restricted whatsoever. They can play whatever they want at any time. And when we come back, Zalae is going to be on match point for 3 straight games. And if ECOP's going to win it, he has to win 3 straight. And he desperately needs a win on the board. Don't go anywhere, guys. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.